Yo, welcome. First I want to start off, saying all praises to the Most High for allowing us to see clearly. We're all on this journey, and for me, I always ask for clarity. So I feel like the Most High has given me an opportunity to build. So we just thinking out loud. So we're laying our foundation, and I decided, it was the best opportunity, to build with you. So, appreciate you for letting me be your pilot on this flight. And, we taking off. We taking off. First I want to start asking you a question. You know, we're talking about dragons. We're talking Chickamaugas. We're talking about medieval romances. But the main question here is, are you a dragon? Are you the dracons of America? Leave a note in the comments. What you feel about that. How does that make you feel? What do you think about when you hear dragons? But sit back, get comfortable. I'll connect the dots for you. I'm gonna be your pilot on this journey, and we taking off. Let's go. But again, I'm just talking dragons, Chickamaugas, medieval romances. You know, it'll all start to make sense. But again, I pray we all see clearly. Let's go. I wanted to kind of give it, hype it up. We not just talking about nothing here. I wanted to set off with the right energy. So shout out to Fabes VG for the Shin Yang type beat. I feel like it really just sets the mood, for what we're about to be talking about. So again, I ask you, you know, what do you think about when you hear the word dragon? You know, Are you a dragon? Is a dragon, a mythical creature? Is this a fiery person? We got to start asking these questions. Again, leave a note in the comments. Let me know what you think about when you hear the word dragon.
Thieves.
We're just talking dragons, Chickamaugas, and medieval romances. We're just talking dracons in America. America. Are you an American? Are you a dracon, a dragon? I don't know, man. Again, allow us, hopefully we all see clearly. Just gonna connect the dots. You're probably asking yourself, what's up? With this whole Chinese flow. Um, you know what? It's funny. You just gotta sit back. It'll all make sense. They put it right in your face. But again, what do you think about when you hear dragons? That's the question. What's up with these dragons? Alright, so let's get it, man. We're gonna leave it there. What are we thinking about? We hear dragons, want to set the mood, but now, we still taking off. We still on the plane, you know what I mean? We popping off. Let's go. Let's go. I just had to, get the plane in the air first, before I started on the presentation. But again, we're just talking dragons, we're just talking Chickamaugas, we're talking medieval romances. So let's start, let's change the vibe up, sit back, relax. Again, I'll be your pilot on this journey. All right, let's go. So we're just talking dracons in America. Dracons in America. Dragons in America. Again, what is up with these dragons? What do you think about when you hear the word dragon? Let's get this presentation loaded up. We'll hop straight into it. But again, are you a dragon? What's going on here? We're just asking questions. just doing a little bit of research. But while this presentation loads up, I gotta go ahead and do this real quick. Just get it out the way. So fair use is a legal doctrine that promotes freedom of expression by permitting the unlicensed use of copyright protected works in certain circumstances. Section 107 of the Copyright Act provides the statutory framework for determining whether something is a fair use and identifies certain types of uses, such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. So, we definitely gonna have some criticism, commentary as well. I consider this news reporting. What you think? Teaching for sure. We're gonna dig on a lot of information, scholarship, most definitely, and research. Tons of research. And again, I'll share all the links with you. Kind of walk you through it. Let me know what you think about these dragons. Let's go. Let's go. Are we the dragons found in the Americas? The Dracons, American. Keep that in your mind. This whole con thing, this whole Dracon, these dragons, it'll start to make sense as we go on our journey. All right, let's go. So again, we're just thinking out loud. Again, I ain't trying to convince nobody or nothing. Most High says, share your research. I say, okay, so let's go. Are we the Dracons, the dragons found in the Americas? All right, first off, we have this definition. It says, a dragon is a large serpentine, legendary creature that appears in the folklore of many cultures worldwide. Beliefs about dragons vary considerably through regions, but dragons in Western cultures, since the High Middle Ages, again, I want you to keep this serpentine, these medieval romances, this High Middle Ages, keep that in your mind. But it says, this dragon's often been depicted as winged, horned, four-legged, and capable of breathing fire. So again, they're giving you kind of this devilish flying beast, this dragon. But again, we're just talking medieval romances. We're talking serpentine, legendary creatures. We're talking Chickamaugas. Let's go. All right. So this definition here from Webster's 1828 dictionary calls a dragon a winged serpent, just like we just saw. And medieval romances, again, keep that in your mind. This medieval romances, these dragons. But also, we follow up with a fiery shooting meteor or imaginary serpent. So shooting meteor, like what are they talking about? First they saying a winged serpent, now they're talking about a shooting meteor. But keep that in mind. So then it moves on to say a fierce, violent person, male or female, as this man or woman is a dragon. So again, what does a dragon mean to you? Now they're saying it's a winged serpent, it's a shooting meteor, it's a fierce person, male or female. So they're already letting you know it's not just male dragons, it's not just female dragons, they both popping off. So what's going on? But again, also it says down here, it's a constellation of the northern hemisphere. So let's get some orientation, right? We're in the northern hemisphere in America, right? We're in the northern hemisphere, or what they would consider it to be, right? So again, it says in China and Japan, again, keep that in your mind. China and Japan, the word dragon was used instead of emperor. The dragon's face meant the face of the emperor. The dragon's pace, his majestic walk. So, they're already, coming up with all these different definitions. And we see here, number 3, that they're talking about a fierce person, a violent person, male or female. Now they're telling you in China and Japan, the word dragon was used instead of emperor. The dragon's face meant the face of the emperor. The dragon's pace meant his majestic walk. But again, we're not just talking emperors. Look, it's telling you right here, male or female. So we're talking empresses, right? If I said that right, empresses. So the dragon's face meant the face of the empress. The dragon's pace her majestic walk. I mean, it can go either way, but we're just talking China and Japan, right? Or are we talking America? All right, again, so we talked about this earlier. So we had Draco, we said C Draco, constellation of the Northern Hemisphere, right? All right, so this whole Draco, right, this constellation of the Northern Hemisphere is what they say a luminous exhalation. So again, a luminous exhalation. So like a breath, right? I mean, we kind of know luminous means bright, to shine, or, you know, again, or for us, maybe it's to see clearly, this luminous breath. Are they talking dragon breath? Are they talking fiery breathing dragon? Or are they talking about the face of the emperor, the dragon's pace, the dragon's face, right? Talking about you, maybe. Let's see. But again, Northern Hemisphere, this constellation Draco, it'll come back up. We're just talking dragons, right? So, from this book here, Graham Hancock's America Before, The Key to Earth's Lost Civilization, it has a part here, you see, the mystery of the Serpent Mound. Again, we're just talking medieval romances, constellations, right? But now they're talking about that this whole serpent mound, right? So we got this kind of a winged serpent, imaginary serpent, but now they're telling you there's this magnificent mystery mound that focuses on the form of the serpent, which is perceived as a terrestrial image of the constellation Draco. Like we just said, Draco, we're talking Northern Hemisphere, we're talking dragons, right? We're talking about the dragon's pace, the dragon's face. But again, we're just talking medieval romances, right? But we're also talking Northern Hemisphere. So get some orientation as we go. All right. So again, we're talking Draco, Northern Hemisphere, again, the terrestrial image of the constellation Draco. They're talking about this mysterious serpent mound, right? So, what I'm digging is that they're basically saying as above, so below. So in the Northern Hemisphere, you got this constellation Draco, but then you also got this terrestrial image, this mystery serpent mound down below, right? Let's take a look. So again, let's take a quick pause. We're talking constellations, right? We're talking serpent mounds. We're talking Northern Hemisphere, right? So, we know. I mean, I guess, you put it out there. I guess I would identify as a so-called Negro, a black man. And, we know these stories of, follow the drinking gourd, but it's talking African American folk songs, right? So this whole Big Dipper situation, right? But we're just talking dragons, we're talking medieval romances. But no, we're talking about the drinking gourd. We're talking about the point of reference that enslaved people had to find their way back home, right? But again, how can you, find your way home in a foreign land if you have no orientation, right? But we're just talking Northern Hemisphere, and we're talking medieval romances. That's all we're talking about, right? So again, this terrestrial image, but then we have this Big Dipper, which is the point of reference. You find the Big Dipper, you find the North Star, you find your way home. Like it says, a beacon to true north and freedom. All right, so remember this drinking gourd. So again, we're talking Draco, we're talking dragons, we're talking mystery serpent mounds, right? So it's all coming together. And see here, we have this Big Dipper, and then in between the Big and Little Dipper, we have this constellation Draco, which is coiled between the two, right? So again, we have this Big Dipper, which is, the point of reference for enslaved people, the Underground Railroad, my bad, finding your way home. But again, how do you have orientation? How do you know to look for this if you are from a foreign land? I'm just asking a question. Let me know what you think about it. All right. So again, we have this Draco, this constellation coiled between the Big and Little Dipper. You find the Big Dipper, you find the North Star, but no one's talking about this dragon coiled between the two. And even here, you have this Rastaban, right? Just dig on it. Take it for what it is. And then we have this, kind of give you an image of the dragon coiled between, the Little Dipper here, and then somewhere over to the left would be the Big Dipper, right? All right. So again, we're just talking dragons. We're talking mystery serpent mounds. We're talking about medieval romances, the Northern Hemisphere. But now we're just talking about this National Geographic archaeological map of Middle America, right? Middle America, you're gonna say Mexico, you're gonna say Central America, South America, that's not me. What are you talking about, right? But we're just talking feathered serpents now. We're talking Draco, we're talking dragons, following this drinking gourd, right? So this feathered serpent was a prominent supernatural entity or deity found in many Mesoamerican religions. Again, found in many Mesoamerican religions. It is called Quetzalcoatl or Quetzalcoatl or Quetzalcoatl among the Aztecs. But see, here we have Kukulkan, right? Khan, American, but we're just talking Dracan, we're talking dragons, right? Land of the feathered serpent, right? We're talking America. Now they're talking this Kukulkan is among the Yucatec Maya and Kuukumats and Tohil among the Kiish Maya. But they always tell you, right, that these Maya, they disappeared. Or, maybe they're just hidden in plain sight. You never know. Take a peep at this image here that they have. Got the skin, right? We're just talking Middle America. But, just to give you some more perspective, right? We're talking children of the plum serpent in ancient Mexico. Again, I'm emphasizing this Mexico, because you'll see this come up a lot as we dig on this research. So again, I don't have it all figured out. I'm just connecting the dots, right? We're talking ancient Mexico, but maybe not the Mexico you know today, because as they encroached on your lands further west, that was Mexico, right? We'll take a look at it as we go. But this great serpent mound, right? This land of the feathered serpent, ancient Mexico, Kukulkan. We got the Draco, Big Dipper, Polaris situation going, finding your way, or the enslaved people finding their way, right? This mystery serpent mound, which is the terrestrial image of the constellation Draco. All right, let's get it. So again, we're talking Great Serpent Mound, 1,348 foot long, 3 foot high prehistoric effigy mound, right? But we're just talking Northern Hemisphere. We're talking Draco, right? We're talking Adams County, Ohio, Southwest Ohio. So you mean to tell me that this mystery serpent mound is in Southwest Ohio, the terrestrial image of the constellation Draco? What are you talking about? Coiled between the Big Dipper? We're talking Kukulkan, the land of the feathered serpent, ancient Mexico. Like, what's going on? We just got to connect the dots. But see, here it says that these ancestors of these American Indian tribes, again, tribes, focus on these tribes, it'll start to make sense. Again, they're saying the ancestors of these American Indian tribes built this mystery serpent mound in Southwest Ohio. That's the terrestrial image of the constellation Draco. Again, we're just talking America, right? Again, so now you got this image of this serpent, right? So here's the tail, it coils around, and, this is just, it's crazy. This is magnificent, right? And again, who knows what this thing looked like before, we started touching it, people put their hands on it, making this whole park thing. We got a giant serpent mound in the middle of Ohio, or in Southwest Ohio, in the Northern Hemisphere. That's the terrestrial image of the constellation Draco, right? But then we're just looking, we're digging, we're seeing land of the feathered serpent, Kukulkan, so this mysterious Maya situation in Mexico. You're like, man, what's going on, right? But it'll start to make sense, trust me. When I dig on this information, I just put it together and share it with you. So again, we have this serpent mound here. Now we're talking Cherokee, right? This Cherokee tribe, right? They say there was a powerful crystal mounted at the head of the serpent. So let's go back. Serpent, I'm assuming this will be the head, and then there was some crystal that was I would assume to be somewhere up here, right? And again, who knows what was really going on with this, right? When the sun hit this, or this terrestrial image of the constellation, what's going on, right? But it says that this crystal put out a light that sullied the meridian beams of the sun. So again, we can only imagine what was going on when this sun hit this crystal with this terrestrial image of the constellation Draco. But it says, as the story goes, this crystal was stolen, and afterward the people fell into darkness. So again, this Serpent Mound in southwest Ohio, the terrestrial image of the constellation Draco, had this crystal that was stolen, right? And it says, afterward, the people fell into darkness. And again, this is from the book Graham Hancock, America Before, The Key to Earth's Lost Civilization. So this is what they're saying in this book, right? It said that this thing was stolen and it fell into darkness. So if we just do the math, right? Well, who would steal this? If it was your crystal, you wouldn't steal it, especially knowing if you fell into darkness. But maybe your enemy would steal it if they knew that would happen and they wanted the land, right? They want to make parts, right? So again, look, we're talking, Dracan, we're talking dragging canoe, or we're talking Dracan, or Dracan, dragging canoe, right? Dragging Canoe was a Cherokee war chief. Again, what they say, the Cherokee said there was a powerful crystal at the head of this serpent, the terrestrial image of the constellation Draco. Now we're seeing this Cherokee war chief named Dracan Canoe, or Dragon Canoe. He was a Cherokee war chief. Keep this chief thing, keep remembering this word, it keeps coming up too. But he led a band of Cherokee warriors who resisted colonists and United States settlers in the Upper South, right? So we're talking Cherokees, we're talking dragons, Dracan Canoe, the constellation Draco, the terrestrial image in southwest Ohio. Now we got this Cherokee warriors fighting these settlers or colonists in the Upper South. But again, we're just talking about, right? We're just, we're just talking about the drinking gore, right? Excuse me. We're just talking drinking gore, following the Big Dipper, the point of reference, right? But it says that these Cherokee warriors face settlers in the Upper South, right? All right, just get some perspective. So again, Dragon Canoe and Chickamaugas. Again, remember we talked about Mexico. Now we got this whole Chickamauga thing going on. We got Dragon Canoe. This Cherokee war chief. We just learned that this crystal was stolen from this great mysterious serpent mound, and the people fell into darkness, right? So again, we're talking Dragon Canoe, Chickamaugas. It said 1788, assisted by Chickasaw, other Shawnee warriors, and Tecumseh. So now we got Tecumseh coming into the situation. We seeing this Chickamauga thing. We pointed out the whole Mexico flow. We're talking, we're just talking dragons, right? Medieval romances. And now we're talking Tecumseh. What's happening? But again, I think this is from Wiki. It says Dragon Canoe, pronounced Cu Gansini. He is dragging his canoe. And I just felt it was necessary to point out how ridiculous this sounds. But they saying he's dragging his canoe. We can look at it and say Dracan. Do the etymology. Dragon Canoe. His name even sounds like Dragon Canoe. What's happening? We're just putting the puzzle together. Again, excuse me. Let me sip on this tea real quick. All right, so this is the first time we're talking about this hijack, right? So this hijack is a verb, right? To take or take control of something as if by hijacking, often specifically to change the topic or focus of something, such as a conversation, to redirect. So here, does this seem like a hijack? We're talking about Dragon Canoe, these Cherokee warriors who resisting colonists. Their crystal was stolen. And now we got the Chickamaugas, Tecumseh, And now we got this whole hijack talking about he's dragging his canoe, right? Or let's look at B, to subject to extortion or swindling. Don't let them swindle you, man. Dodge the hijack. That this will come up again. So just pay attention. Remember to change the topic or focus of something such as a conversation. I mean, we're just having a conversation, right? So again, Dragon Canoe was a staunch and unrelenting enemy. So that, brings me back to the definition, this fiery, violent person, this staunch and unrelenting enemy of the American settlers. Again, we saw he was fighting colonists, resisting colonists in the Upper South. Now we see him popping back up again, and it's talking about he's already known to the Spanish officials at Mobile, Pensacola, and New Orleans. He maintained contact with the English at Detroit, right? So the English, they're talking the American Revolutionary War, right? They say they're fighting the British. Come to find out, research ain't just fighting the British. They're fighting these Chickamaugas, this dragon canoe, Tecumseh, right? But again, a violent, combative, or very strict person. So of course to them, you're a dragon, right? You're violent, you're a staunch and unrelenting enemy. You're not going for it. You don't want them on your land, right? You don't want people stealing your powerful crystals, right? Your terrestrial image of the constellation Draco. But again, you can even see at the bottom something or someone formidable, right? So a formidable opponent, combative, strict, a dragon. Just keep in mind this English situation in Detroit, because we're just talking Northwest Indian territory, right? So we're just going to give you some more perspective again, some orientation, right? So let me take you to the map real quick, because we're talking Dragon Canoe, we're talking Chickamaugas, and what? Medieval romances. It's just not making sense, is it? But just wait on it. All right. So again, just to have some orientation, we're talking about these constellation Draco, terrestrial image in Southwest Ohio. Now we're talking about Dragon Canoe and the Chickamaugas resistant settlers, right? So again, just for some perspective, this will be considered, the Northwest Indian Territory. I mean, this is what Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, even here. I mean, a little further south, you see where it says Cherokees or Upper Cherokees, and you got the creeks down here, right? But what's even more notable, right? We're talking Mexico, right? We're just talking Mexico, right? Kukulkan. But now we're talking Chickamaugas, the she. I mean, again, it says this was this is Mexico, right? We got Louisiana, this is before, everything got divvied up. So these American colonists and these English, they're making it seem they got all this pretty much sold up. But, we'll see as we continue to dig. Again, what's a dragon mean to you? What are we really talking about here? Are we talking about your land? Are we talking about constellations? Are we talking about people? It starts to get clear, but you got to ask yourself these questions. All right, so talking Dragon Canoe, right? And the Chickamaugas. We just took a look at our map, but basically, we got Dragon Canoe. He's known to these Spanish officials. He's fighting against these colonists. But now it's saying Confederacy for all Indian tribes to band together. Again, why would you need a confederacy for all Indian tribes to band together? I mean, what's the issue? I mean, is there a rift? Are we not seeing eye to eye? What's really going on here? I mean, you really got to think about this. So it was his confederacy for all Indian tribes to band together, which ended up becoming the life work of Tecumseh, right? We're just talking Chickamaugas, Dragon Canoe. Now we got Tecumseh, who's basically, took it upon himself to try to get everybody to tribe up, right? So the two Shawnee brothers, Tecumseh and his brother, hardly entered into war plans of the Chickamaugas, right? So it says 1788, February, in an attack by the Chickamaugas upon an unnamed fort, near this frontier town of Running Water. Again, I mean, it says perhaps Bledsoe. I mean, we don't know what fort this is, but we'll take, what it says, running water. So we'll just assume there was water here, and these Chickamaugas was popping off on these settlers who, got this fort by their running water, right? It says Chisakaw and Tecumseh readily joined the war party, right? They didn't need convincing. It's already Tecumseh's life work to get everybody to tribe together with this whole Chickamauga dragon canoe situation. So again, it says Chickamauga, Cherokee. Again, the Cherokee, the same ones who said that this crystal was stolen and the people fell into darkness. Again, this terrestrial image of the constellation Draco, the Chickamaugas, we're talking Mexico, right? Again, it says a group that separated from the greater body of the Cherokee during the American Revolutionary War. Like we said, what's going on, right? Why are these Chickamauga Cherokees separating? And then what's up with Tecumseh's life work of getting us to tribe up? Well, I mean, what's going on here? What's the rift? What's the issue, right? You gotta ask. So it says here, these Chickamauga Cherokees, we go back to a split in the Cherokee Nation and the Cherokee tribe that happened in 1775. Again, orientation, 1775. It's a year before this Declaration of Independence thing, this American Revolutionary War. We're learning that they're not just fighting the English, they're fighting these Chickamaugas as well, right? Tecumseh. So there was a split between the accommodationist faction of Cherokees. So accommodationists. So to me, that sounds like, they're like, man, we're just tired. We're just tired of fighting. We've been fighting since they got here. Like, I just want peace. Like, this is crazy. You can just imagine what's going on right now. But again, you got these accommodationists that just want, to me, it seems like they just want it to be over. But they thought the best way to relate to white expansionism, yada yada, American expansionism, was to accommodate as best they could for them to be accepted. But as we learn, just the little we know about history, right? That didn't work. So again, they thought the colonists, who later became the Americans, so they're basically just telling you that they took your title, right? So just keep that in mind. This, later became the Americans. It'll come back up as we continue to dig. But these Chickamaugas was like, nah, we're gonna keep fighting. And these other Cherokees just was like, man, well, whatever it takes. So here we're talking Prophetstown. So by the early 1800s, Tecumseh had settled in Ohio. Remember, Ohio is where this mystery serpent mound is, right? This terrestrial image of the constellation Draco. So it says Tecumseh was a respected leader, war chief, and orator. So he had the gift of gab. He was, going on his world tour. What they say, his life work to get them to band together. I mean, doesn't this story sound familiar to you? So it says, in 1805, his younger brother, Lala Wethica, I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right, experienced an alcohol-induced vision. So stop, pause. Again, we gotta dodge the hijack, right? They're talking about an alcohol-induced vision, but I mean, do you believe that? I mean, we can just speculate, right? But this sounds like hijack to me. Again, to change the topic or focus, to redirect the conversation, and they're telling you who's just drunk. All right, so whatever. All right, so it says he declared his intent to lead Indians on a quest to reclaim their lands and culture, and he changed his name to Tenskwatawa, and became known as the Prophet, right? So he has this so-called alcohol-induced vision to reclaim his lands, and then they change his name to the Prophet. I wonder why. So then it says, after correctly predicting, but they're saying he had an alcohol-induced vision. So again, he still correctly predicted this eclipse nonetheless. And it says hordes of Indians from various tribes began following the prophet. So again, hordes meaning a lot, right? I mean, so that means many weren't following Tecumseh and Lalawetica and Dragon Canoe and the Chickamaugas, they had to be convinced. It took a solar eclipse to convince them, right? So it says 1808, Tecumseh and the Prophet moved their growing multi-tribal alliance. So now they got a few tribes, clicking up. It ain't everybody, but they got an alliance going down in Prophetstown. So near the Wabash and Tippecanoe rivers in present-day Indiana. So I must pause again. I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I think it's just funny. I never knew about any of this, right? And what does Indianapolis even mean? City of Indians, like Indian city, like Indian city, Indians, like what? I mean, they put it right in your face, right? But we got Lalawetica predicting this eclipse. Hordes of Indians are starting to tribe up, right? 1808. Battle of Tippecanoe. Tecumseh traveled far to recruit disgruntled Indians. Again, he's still going on his world tour, trying to convince these, other tribes that, to join his war cry, right? But they're disgruntled. I mean, you can only assume they're disgruntled because, maybe they're making treaties or trying to make peace with these settlers, and maybe they're going against their word and they're encroaching on their land still, and things just aren't looking up. But Tecumseh comes through. He rallied them to a cause, letting them know the only way, we gotta unite and resist. What are y'all talking about? Like, this is the only way. We can't make deals, we can't make peace with these people. All right, so again, we're talking Tecumseh. He's going on his world tour. He's recruiting Indians. We got Lalawetica predicting eclipses. Like, what's happening? So Tecumseh, whose name in Shawnee means shooting star or blazing comet, was born in 1768 in the western Ohio Valley. Again, Ohio Valley, where this terrestrial image of the constellation Draco reigns, right? Now we're seeing that his name means shooting star, blazing comet. That relates back to the dragons. He's following Dragon Canoe and the Chickamaugas. Again, a dragon. It says down here, a fiery shooting meteor or imaginary serpent. Come on now, like, I can't make this up. I'm just connecting the dots, right? All right, let's go. So it says here, the definition of a comet. All right, back it up. Blazing comet, Tecumseh, born in the western Ohio Valley underneath this constellation Draco, right? They got this crystal and this mystery serpent mound, but now it's saying the definition in Dahl's dictionary is a heavenly body. Take it for what it says, heavenly, a heavenly body, which, in comparison to others, is of huge mass, though sparse, nebulous, and transparent. Sometimes it may be seen to have a nucleus, while the surrounding area forms something like a tail, beard, or tangled locks. A star with a tail. So you see, again, you see how they try to just, breeze past this, just speed past this beard and tangled locks situation. Telling you a star with the tail, like, yeah, okay. But, maybe for the hijack, they can skip past beard and tangled locks. Ain't gonna mean nothing to them. But as for me, as a so-called Negro, so-called black man, I see beard and tangled locks. I start asking questions, especially when you're talking about comets, and we're talking about dragons, and we're talking about Tecumseh, right? Because you know what? This is just medieval romances, right? We're just talking shooting stars, beard and tangled locks, right? So again, we're still talking about Tecumseh. It says he was aided in his efforts by two extraordinary events: the Great Comet of 1811 and the New Madrid earthquake, right? So we're talking 1811, the Great Comet. I mean, his name even means blazing comet, under this terrestrial dragon with the mystery serpent mound and the crystal, right? And now they're saying this great comet aided his efforts on his world tour, right? And now you got this New Madrid earthquake. And again, just perspective. We're talking Ohio, we're talking Indiana, we're talking Illinois, Michigan. And now we're talking earthquakes and comets and dragons. I mean, we gotta take it for what it is, right? So now it says, which he and other Native Americans interpreted as omens. Again, this goes back to the whole Aloetheca, his alcohol-induced vision, and now hordes of Indians are just, trying to tribe up. So, I mean, it takes all of this to convince them, right? Like, so again, we got to ask ourselves, what's really going on here, right? What's going on with these tribes? What's up? What's the deal? But again, some supported, but many rejected his overtures, especially in the South. So that brings it back again to Dragon Canoe, resisting settlers in the upper South, right? But then you got these other tribes again that are rejecting Tecumseh, who's doing the life work of Dragon Canoe, resisting these settlers, and many are like, nah. But they're especially in the South. That makes you think of what? Slavery. And again, we're talking about the constellation Draco, coiled between the Big and Little Dipper, that leads you to the North Star to give you that orientation. Maybe you're looking for this terrestrial image, this constellation. Maybe you just, maybe you know what you're talking about, and you're just following the path back home. So again, it says a faction of the Muskogee, a faction again. So this just lets you know that it's not everyone; it's just some of them. Faction became known as the Red Sticks. And these Red Sticks responded to Tecumseh's call to arms, contributing to the coming Creek War. Again, war, been at war. What's going on? Again, let's take a look at this picture, right? Just kind of give you some perspective again of what we're talking about. We're just talking Americans, we're talking dragons, we're talking blazing comets, beards with tangled locks. I mean, look, man, they head up, chest out. We got axes, swords, man. I mean, look, Pete, we're just talking medieval romances, right? Right? You got guns. I mean, these people, we're not going, right? So again, wouldn't you have time to be a slave if you were fighting, man? And again, we got Tecumseh on the world tour. All these things are happening with these people that are associated with dragon symbolism, and we're fighting, right? But to see here, 1776, the American Revolutionary War pops off, their Declaration of Independence. But then this is where it gets crazy, right? We're talking Chickamauga, we're talking Dragon Canoe, Tecumseh, the Cherokee, this terrestrial image, this serpent mound, the constellation Draco, right? And then you see Chickamauga, Cherokee, Chickamauga, Northwest Indian, Northwest, it's just like 20 straight years of just war, and it doesn't even end here, and it's crazy when you think about it, right? But Northwest Indian, again, we're talking Ohio, we're talking Serpent Mounds, we're talking Indiana, Prophetstown, we're talking Detroit, we're talking Midwest, man, Northwest Indian War, we're talking Chickamauga, man, come on. When'd you have time to be a slave if you were fighting wars this entire time? But again, we gotta ask ourselves these questions. Not everybody was tribed up, but we got this drinking gourd. Excuse me. I'm not used to talking this long, straight through. All right, let's get it. So we got all these wars popping off, and then we got saying America's only been at peace for 21 years total since its birth, right? So, were we ever at peace? So again, when did you have time to be a slave if you were busy fighting these wars? So again, we got the Chickamauga Wars, Northwest Indian War, Northwest Indian, Quasi-Barbary Wars. It says no major war. But then who pops up? Tecumseh's War, 1811. What happens in 1811? This great comet of 1811, which relates back to what? Tecumseh, the shooting star, the blazing comet, right? Western Ohio Valley, the terrestrial image of the constellation Draco, a beard with tangled locks, right? So 1811, Tecumseh's War is popping off. Again, I asked the question. I don't have all the answers, but as we can see, not everyone was in slavery. I don't see how you could be in slavery when you're fighting a war. Alright. So again, we got War of 1812, Tecumseh's War, Seminole Wars, the U.S. occupied Spanish held Amelia Island. It already says Dragon Canoe was known by the Spanish. He's popping off. Tecumseh, he's doing his world tour. He's getting some of them to tribe up. We got the Seminoles, the Peoria War. We talked about the Red Sticks, the Creeks, the Creek War. U.S. just keeps expanding their territory, right? They just keep encroaching on your territory. This is where it gets interesting. I mean, you see around this time, we're not talking Tecumseh. We're not really talking Chickamauga anymore. Was this the last stand? Did we, could we not get everybody to come, together and tribe up and fight off these settlers? But you see the Seminoles still popping off. You got Yellowstone expedition, whatever that means, the anti-piracy war. I mean, you got to ask yourself these questions: who are they fighting against, right? Would you have time to be a slave? Come on. And again, we're just talking American, copper-colored cons, right? American. They told you way back in the slides that they took your title of American and they came over here, right? But it says a native of America originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races. Again, this emphasizes copper-colored races. Let's go back. Again, let's get orientation. We're just talking copper-colored races found here, right? We're talking following the drinking gourd. The constellation Draco is coiled in between the Big Dipper. You find the Big Dipper, you find the North Star, you find your way home, right? Or to freedom, they say. But we're just talking the constellation Draco and the terrestrial image of the serpent mound. We're talking Cherokees, we're talking Chickamauga, we're talking dragons, we're talking warriors. Come on, man. Would you have time to be a slave if you've been fighting this whole time? Just asking a question, man. You let me know. All right. So again, these copper-colored races found here, the cons, the Americans, right? But it says now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America again. It's hijack city, right? Now they're applying it to themselves. They're not no cons. They just took your title, right? You were busy fighting them. You're fighting. I mean, you can only assume you're fighting your brothers and sisters. We can't come to agreements. We can't tribe up. Are we choosing sides? I mean, what side were you on? You got to start asking yourself these questions, man. But as we start to see clearer, we're seeing these Americans, right? So here's where it all comes together, right? So we're talking China, Japan, the emperor's face, the emperor's pace. We're talking dragons, right? We're talking northern hemisphere. Let's go. Boom, we're talking Khan. In Persia, an officer answering to a governor in Europe or America. Again, American, right? I mean, this isn't a coincidence, is it? The copper-colored races found here, the Americans, the Khans in America. You see, again, a chief or prince, right? And again, check out this whole Tartar situation. We'll get back to that in later videos. But again, the Khans, American. So it says here, this out the way, it says Khan, also spelled Kham, historically the ruler, the chief, or monarch of a Mongol tribe. So again, this is where it gets interesting, right? This is where the story really starts to turn, man. At the time of Genghis Khan, we're just talking, medieval romances, right? Early 13th century. At the time of Genghis Khan, a distinction was made between the title of Khan and that of Kukan, right? But you already see here, that these Europeans or whoever's applying this to themselves, but then you come to find out that you got this Genghis Khan in the 13th century calling himself Khan. A distinction's made between the title of Khan and that of Kukan. Remember, I told you to remember this ancient Mexico flow and the Maya and Kukan, right? The Kukan. Come on, man. You put it together, right? Again, I'll leave all the links, in the video, in the description below. But this is where plot twist, right? It says which was the title Genghis assumed as Great Khan. Let's back it up real quick. The title he assumed as Great Khan. Again, it says a distinction was made. It says here that these copper-colored races, these Americans, were found here by the Europeans. So, what's going on, right? Gotta ask ourselves these questions. We're just talking Draco. We're just talking dragons. We're just following the drinking gourd, right? I can't make this up. Again, so it says the title Genghis assumed as Great Khan or Supreme Ruler. So, of course you would want that title, right? Supreme Ruler, Khan, Kuku Khan, right? Kuku Khan. The term Khan was subsequently adopted. Back it up one more time. I know you want to dig on this, but I gotta prove my point, right? So, subsequently adopted. Again, a distinction was made between the titles. We're just talking medieval romances, right? It says here, again, let's get back. We'll get up out of here, man, because we just riding the wave, right? But it says that it's now applied to the descendants of Europeans, but it says originally it was the Aboriginals or the copper-colored races found here. We're just talking dragons, right? We're just talking warriors, right? We'll ask ourselves these questions. If you're fighting wars, you don't really have time. Look at this image. Just think about it. Let it sit in your mind for a second, right? Again, Tecumseh's popping off. He's doing his world tour. Seeing what's going on, right? So again, a distinction's made between the title. We're just talking medieval romances, right? All right, let's go. All right, again, Genghis assumed this Great Khan, and it was subsequently adopted by Muslim societies. I try not to talk about religion. It always comes up, though. Sometimes you just gotta dig on it, right? So here's where it just gets crazy, right? So, first off, check out the image, right? I ain't even gotta say nothing, but they saying this is Genghis Khan, right? Just look at this. So again, Prince Michael of Chernigov, a Rus. Remember this whole Rus thing too, a Rus or a Russian. But just keep that in mind for future videos. We'll come back to it. So this Prince Michael of Chernigov was passed between fires in accordance with ancient Turco-Mongol tradition. Batu Khan, so now everybody's a Khan, right? This Genghis Khan or Batu Khan stabbed him to death for his refusal to do obeisance to Genghis Khan's shrine in the pagan ritual. And again, I gotta pause. Again, I don't like to just make it, strictly religion, but again, all praises to the Most High, allowing us to see clearly, right? So what's really going on here? Again, you gotta ask yourself this question, right? So he stabbed him to death because he wouldn't pay homage to, this pagan Genghis shrine ritual situation. But this man is a Rus, right? But we're just talking America, right? We're talking a black man, right? It says, note that Genghis Khan is depicted as a black man. Again, why would you do that? Again, we're just talking copper-colored races. We're talking America. We're talking dragons, right? Again, we're talking dragons. We're talking copper-colored races found here. When you have time to be a slave, you gotta ask yourself these questions. One more time as we get out of here. When you have time to be a slave, man, check this out, man. We're just talking copper-colored races. We're talking Khans. We're talking dragons. We're talking beards with tangled locks. We're talking comets, dragon canoe, the Chickamauga, right? Come on, man. The terrestrial image of the constellation Draco, the serpent mound. What's really going on here, man? But, I appreciate everybody rocking with me to the end of the video. We're going to continue to dig on this information, this whole Genghis Khan flow. What's up with this and this title of Khan? But again, I appreciate everybody rocking with me. I'll leave the links in the description so you can check this information out for yourself. And again, let me know what you think about when we talking about these dragons. What you think about this whole Genghis Khan flow. But again, we'll pick it up in the next one. Shout out to everybody, kind of let me thinking out loud, right? We're going to get out of here. I appreciate you. Allah Hawa.